Okay, I got another 3 liters of salt water. I'm going to find somewhere to expand these cultures into. But as you can see, the desk has gotten pretty messy here. And messy desks do not make for clean cultures. So we're going to try and tidy up, get all these bubblers sorted, get everything kind of tidied up for version 2. And then if we can manage it all tonight, we're going to transfer some rotifers into this giant green tub and expand from there. It's day 15. I believe the populations are down a little. But, you know, they're in there. Let's turn it off for a second just to give you a quick look. Easiest to see in this one. Yeah, so they're in there. Populations are less dense, though. I mean, and rightfully so, right? Like, I really haven't spent much time here at all in the last 6 days. You know, just squeezed in what I could, but, you know, I haven't really been doing it or paying attention to it or anything. But they're alive, at least. I haven't been feeding them either because there's still food on the bottom, right? So if there's still food on the bottom, let them eat that. So yeah. So they might be hungry, but I would believe that they're short on space at this point and probably have died back a little bit because of the space issue. So we're going to step out here and we're going to do a transfer into bigger bottles that are not particularly see-through and not particularly pleasant to work with, but are big enough to support the expansion. And unfortunately, we're not going to be able to monitor if they're doing well or not without pouring water out of the bottle. But that's just what's got to happen because I don't have the bubbler space or the physical space or the actual container, clear containers, to keep doubling them into clear containers with their own bubblers. And a clear plastic container like this that's not used, it's probably pretty expensive. So that's not in the current budget. Maybe one day. All right, let's try. Feel obligated to give you a zoom-in shot before I split the culture, so let's just do that quickly. Here they are. The bubbler off. There's definitely living, moving things in there. I don't think they're swimming towards the light very quickly. Oh, they are, though, but they're swimming. Let's just try and zoom in one more time. Okay, so now that we're zoomed in tighter, you can see that a lot of the white stuff in there is free-floating particulate of one kind or another. But there are a few creatures in here swimming directionally. So I would guess that this is a slight decline in population, but population's healthy enough anyways. Let's zoom back out. Kind of get a sense of it. Okay, next container. Moving over here. There is particulate. It doesn't look great. Note that this one is the same culture as the culture we just looked at, but the culture we just looked at was not watered down, whereas this culture did have the space to be watered down a little bit more. So here's what we ended up with there. Most of that stuff is swimming the wrong direction, so you can assume it's not. You can assume it's not actually alive. They should be swimming towards that blue line there. So yeah, most of the stuff we see in here is just junk powder, I guess. But there is, you know, I don't think there's any reason to assume that they're all dead. I think you can see enough dots in there that you know that there's at least some of them alive. And I can see a couple things moving against the general flow of the water. So yeah, not all dead, but once again, not as dense as it has been. I'd say the peak in that container was the day that we got back from our trip, which was day 9. We were on day 15. And then, so finally, the coconut oil jar that might have been contaminated with brine shrimp eggs that has not been split since it was initially split on day 5, so it's now 10 days old. And this continues to be the best looking container. Hey, look at this guy. Hey, he's got lots of movement, lots of activity, things moving in different directions, which is a good indication that it's not just dust. I think this is going to be the container that I feed out of. Even though I would like to split this culture, I still am not sure that it hasn't been contaminated. And I think it takes about 3 or 4 weeks for me to actually be able to tell that there's brine shrimp in here. Though brine shrimp are red and rotifers are white, so actually it's probably not contaminated, but still, not going to risk it. We can say that this coconut oil container is doing pretty well. Funny effect here. I think you guys can see that on the camera. So the light of the flashlight from my phone is slightly above the water line. And so as a result, I think the light hits the water at an angle, and you can see that the rotifers have fulfilled the light distribution pattern. How neat is that? Right? So you can see it's like when when the light comes out from the clouds when an angel arrives. It's like that. So yeah, so I would say this is a pretty healthy colony. You can see that they've all moved into the light distribution. So that's great. That's nice. But we're going to just feed from this colony and not split it for the time being. So with that being said, you've now got your update on the 3 cultures at day 15. This is presumably overcrowded and unwell. This doesn't look good, but nothing ever looks good in this Epsom salt container because it's too cloudy. So we might find out it's better than we thought because it was like this, but it was watered down about 50%. So it should be okay. And this one's actually looking pretty good. And we haven't split it or messed with it since about day 6 or 7 when it was transferred into. And it just started with about that much rotifer solution, so about 10% rotifer solution. And since then, the rotifers have filled it out. And I would not say they filled it out into the state of being overpopulated. So they could still be a lot denser after 10 days than they are. So moderate success, right? But not extraordinary. Anyways, we're going to split it now. Just realized this is a lot more work than I recognized because we still have to do all the drip transfer and appropriate transfer. My plan is to take half of this culture and put it in here and half of this culture and put them here and then be able to slowly water them all back up with the drip irrigation. This is 1.021 specific gravity salt water. That's going to be our base. I think my plan right now is to put the salt water in here for about 1 liter or 1.5 liters. Then pour half of this in, then pour half of this in. We're going to leave this one be and then continue to drip into here until it gets quite a bit higher. And then if there's still salt water left and time left, we will start to drip into these guys again. The other reason that it's going to take longer than I thought is the bubblers aren't going to be balanced at these different heights and densities. So I went out and I bought a new bubbler splitter that can handle the load more precisely. Cost me about $5 American. Okay, the great dismantling has begun. I have a bubbler line that I need to run across this room to a tank on the other side, and I don't have enough bubbler capacity to manage it without stealing a line from here. Therefore, I need this extra slack. There's a lot of extra slack on this one, which is a bummer. It's really annoying taking this out of here, but this is just too much slack to give up on. I need this tube. So I could cut it, right? But then I'm trying to keep these lines as intact as possible because the more I cut them, the less useful they are. So, the great dismantling. Let us begin. V3 approach. Having a lot of trouble getting the bubbler pressure to balance because this line traveling across the room just has too much loss in it, in the hose resistance and in the connector tubes. So, don't know what to do about that. But I'll keep playing. Oh my goodness, you will not believe what I found in my fish tank supplies while looking for more of those little filter media things. A bunch of bubbler stones, which is what I needed all along. Those filter media things were not me being clever or skillful or trying to culture things. That was me not having bubbler stones. How silly. I had a bunch. Great news, though. That means this guy, this culture bottle, is getting a bubbler stone. Don't know if a bubbler stone will improve things, to be honest with you. Might make it worse. No, the bubbler stones hardly sinks it at all. Okay, well, anyways, great news. We got bubbler stones. That might change my approach in the other thing, too. I don't know. Okay. Cool. Okay, so I replaced the cheap, well, not the cheap one. I replaced the old crusty anyways, bubbler connector with a new, better quality one that's not leaking air out the screw. And that was enough of a pressure change to get my water across the room into this one. So that's great news. And conveniently enough, it looks like it should work out that I can put the bubbler line that's going into the baby tank over here, connecting to the new bubbler splitter. And that, the big guy needs to be in the back, right next to each other. That seems like the only way this is going to work functionally. Well, spatially. And so, big guy goes back here, connects to the side, replaces the old, replaces the spigot that was used to fill the baby tank. I need a little slack here, but that's okay for now. And then now all we need to do is fill this gap. And this gap, this guy used to be fulfilled by a split off of this one. And actually, I think it makes more sense to split these two together because they're typically running at the same height. So, this guy has enough slack to move over there. And this guy can just nuzzle up to the big fellow. And now we've got space for all our cultures except for this one. And I don't have a splitter for this one either. Let's see if we can get away with splitting these two off of each other. Or not. Probably not. We'll see though. Commencing reassemblage. Okay, so we got this guy. I'm gonna put this thing back on because at this point this is now like inoculated with whatever's living in here, so we might as well keep it. So I'll put this thing back on. Get as tight as I can. Okay. This goes back on here with the new bubbler line attached. I ended up only cutting this one once and then putting the main one back on here just because I think I can get away without cutting it twice. So we're going to move these two over here. Okay, so now this can be moved over here. And this can be moved next to it. These guys go next to each other. And we put this from the old setup back on these two. And then I think I can get this to reach here with a little hunk of junker pixie. Okay, it makes more sense to flip these. Okay, and then that goes there. Okay, and we are live. We won't really know if it's balanced properly until this actually has water in it. But let's try and help these guys out a little. Cranking that up. Okay, and it's pretty clear this guy's going to need a little help. It's just a hair higher. That's funny. Let's see if we can just tighten it up like that. Thing like that. Yeah, that's all it needed. Oh, that's hilarious. Wow, that's how tight it is, eh? Okay. Let's just loosen this. There you go. Lovely. Okay, now this guy's got all the money. So we gotta cut back on them now. I think. Well, that's a little bit worrisome. That's probably not enough pressure. But that'll do for now. We won't really know it's balanced until we have pressure on this one. Okay, we're getting close to version 3 here. So we've got a new 5-way splitter with 2 of the splits off. The main splits are going to the new expansion emergency tank, the current baby tank, and this splitter is going off and populating all 4 of our rotifer cultures. So all the bubbles are going a lot slower now that I've split everything, and I like the feeling and the sound of it a lot better. It's much quieter with a slower bubbler flow. I also like to think that the rotifers might be able to swim a little better like this. I like it. I like new setup. All right, no more chickening around. I've done all the prep work I can manage. It's time to transfer the cultures. So, this fella and this fella, the ones that are presumed to be the most pure, are going to be poured half each into the larger culture. This one will remain as is. So, first things first, let's add some salt water just as a base. Now I'm going to make a little space here so you guys can see the main, the big culture, not the main culture, this is probably the main culture, but the big culture. And I'm hoping to get it up to here, but I won't have enough water, so we're going up to there. Just need enough to cover the bottom. I mean, really, I should fill 2 or 3 inches so they got room to swim, but we don't have that luxury. I don't have that much salt water. Okay, well, it's got 1 inch. That'll have to do. Oh, cool, and you can hear the bubbler running now. That's great. Did you guys hear that? Ugh. I'm not gonna lie, the sound of those bubbler stones is not a nice sound. That's a shame. I've forgotten that sound. But that's a much more frictionless, like, staticky sound than the simpler bubbler. It might be a little quieter overall, but it's not as pleasant. But we'll give it some time. I might be floating on the top of the tank, and that's why it's making so much noise. Okay. Here we go. This is the dangerous part. I don't think I can make that pour direct into here, so I'm going to pour into here and then rinse this one out. So I'm going to pour into here and then rinse this one out with this water. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to drip this properly. There's just not enough volume to work with, so I got to pour. That's the only way around it. Okay. So, here we go. first of all, from the main original culture. I'm going to give it a little stir. I can't. I don't even have the option to stir. Okay, cool. So, just a little stir. Let's sit and stir and sit. And bubble and stir a little more. Like, basically, I don't want to pour all of them or none of them. I want to pour about half of them. So, here we go. That should stir it up pretty good. Okay. There we go. Hopefully, that's got them in place. Here we go, half. Isn't that terrifying? A little more than half. Okay. Let's hope that wasn't a mistake. And we're going to go again on the other side. Actually, no, we're going to do them one at a time. I was thinking I would pour that into here and then pour them, but these might be very different from each other at this point, and then that's double shocking them. So hopefully we only shock the rotifers once in this pass, and hopefully there's a small enough difference between the nature of this one and the nature of this one that I'm not going to kill them. But I don't know. We just don't know. Okay, here we go. Ugh. You can see it's just packed with rotifers. Oh, we gotta look at it. We can't help ourselves. We gotta look at it. Okay, here we go. Cool, eh? Nice pops. But yeah, you can't tell what's particulate and what's rotifers. But there's a lot going on in there. That's wonderful. Okay. Let's hope they survive this. They will. I mean, I think they will. But I can't. I don't want to test the salinity on this and dump a bunch of rotifers on my refractometer. Okay. One pour with confidence, hoping it goes well. Ugh. The sides of all my materials are covered in rotifers. How tragic. Okay, next, this guy. Give it a stir, give it a stir, give it a stir again. Oh, I'm spilling them. Stir, and then spiral stir. I noticed that if you spiral stir and then stop, you actually get better distribution than if you just continuously spiral stir. That's the old biodynamic trick there. The combination of chaos and structure. It's what brings universal life. Okay. So, we're going to do more than half. We're doing 3/4 on this guy. It's been overpopulated for a long time. And it might be full of cysts or eggs, however you want to think of it. I don't know the correct term. Okay. In we go again. Strong, confident pour. Smooth. Oh, not touching the bubbler. Straight shot, straight shot. Yeah, there we go. Okay. I don't want it running up against the bubbler line. I don't want it touching the sides of the tank, because then I presume rotifers will get stuck on all of those surfaces through the surface tension. Ooh, nice. That's great, guys. Look at that. We're up to 2 or 3 inches now. That is enough of a volume for the culture to be able to swim. Good stuff. Okay, now, I presume I lost a lot of rotifers on the side here. So we're going to try and salvage what we can here. Let's put this back in here. Okay. And stir, 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 stir. And rinse. And we'll do it one more time. Okay. Stir, 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 and rinse. Okay. Let's reassemble. This. There is air in 1, air in 2, air in 3, air in 4, air in 5. Air in 6. Okay, we got a double expansion of our bubblers today. Massive expansion of the rotifer volume. Everything is balanced, and now all we got to do is start dripping into here in here. What fun. Okay, so let's just do that, and we'll close it out. And then we can call this version 3 after I tidy up a little bit. Okay, slow it down. Slow the bubbler. Slow the dripper right down. There we go. Okay, this is dripping fresh salt water into here. We're not going to let it get much past there, and then we're going to move it over here. In fact, that's probably already too much. It's already like a 25% water volume increase. It's actually too much already. So, silly me, but we're going to have to address that now. So I'm stopping this drip line and switching over to this guy who can actually handle that amount of volume. Is it dripping? It should. It'll start. Yeah, there it goes. Okay. So, just added 50 mils to that, and that's already too much. And now we're dripping into here. We'll drip the rest of that 75 or so milliliters, maybe 100, into here. That'll probably take it up to that line. And, oh! This guy stopped bubbling! There we go. We're back. Okay. All 6 tanks bubbling. Thank you for watching.